Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam on VTC Thanh Việt Am Nhật. As we both know that Vietnam is one of the countries in the world which are most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change in recent years. And launching the climate change resilient models has become an urgent need for this country. In our program today, we have a talk to Mr. Todd Raymond Johnson, the Forestry and Agricultural Advisor from USAID, and he will share more about the topic of the effectiveness of the climate change resilient models in Vietnam. Thank you, Mr. Todd Johnson, for joining our program today. Well, first of all, what do you think about the general situation of the activities of coping with the climate change in Vietnam in recent years?
I think Vietnam is probably within ASEAN one of the leaders in terms of having good strategies and policies and legislation, and really at the, for example, the green growth strategy. These are very good plans being put in place. The Climate Change Strategy and Action Plan, in 2014, the chapter under the Environmental Protection Act. A lot of very good policies being done at central level that are now being filtered down to provincial and district levels. And I think the general atmosphere for Vietnam coping with climate change as well as contributing to the mitigation is very good.
Currently, agriculture is still the main sectors of the Vietnam's economy. And apart from that, we still have other sectors like tourism or energies, which are almost affected to the impacts of the climate change. So what do you think about the impacts of climate change to these kind of sectors in Vietnam?
Well, agriculture is definitely one of the ones that one of the sectors of the Vietnamese economy that is most severely impacted. Yes. As we've seen just this year with the El Nino related droughts in southern Vietnam and in the Mekong Delta, the rice producing areas that account for so much of the exports of rice from Vietnam to other countries in the region that rely on that production because farmers were not able to plant on time and the lack of water. And so, that's going to then perhaps ripple even into the global economy and affect prices. And that can have a huge impact on not just the agricultural production, but also on things like fisheries production, the forest industry. I mean, anything that relies on soil, rain, the climatic factors.
USAID is a state agency which have cooperated with Vietnam to run various projects regarding to the climate change issues. So can you share some of the outstanding results of these projects in Vietnam?
Almost 5 years now that the United States and Vietnam have been working closely together on addressing climate change. Vietnam is one of the countries that others look to in terms of you're addressing that whole spectrum. It's not just about the storms and the disasters, but also those slower moving impacts that also need to be addressed because they may in fact affect more people. I think that right here in the Red River Delta in Nam Dinh and other nearby areas, there's been some very good work on the near-term aspects, such as disaster preparedness, understanding what might be, if there's a stronger typhoon. We've been working with the Red Cross, for example, on training school children. What happens when there's a typhoon? What should they do?